Most men over 60 are making at least one of these mistakes every single time they touch themselves, and they have no idea it's actually working against their health. The thing is, nobody talks about this. Not your doctor, not your friends, definitely not the internet, at least not, honestly. I'm Lauren Bennett, and I spend my time digging through medical research so you don't have to. Today, I'm going to walk you through 3 common mistakes men over 60 make with self-pleasure. And more importantly, how to fix each one so your body actually benefits. Stick around for number 3, because it's the one most men completely overlook, and it might be the most important of all. If you find this kind of honest health information helpful, hit that subscribe button. We talk about the stuff nobody else will. Without shame, without gimmicks, just real evidence. Now, before we get into the mistakes, let me say something that honestly needs to be said more often. If you're over 60 and you still masturbate, that is completely normal. You're not weird. You're not broken. You're actually in the majority. A cross-sectional survey of over 3,800 European adults between the ages of 60 and 75 found that between 41 and 65% of men reported masturbating in the previous month. That's not some fringe behavior. That's most men. And a separate study from Indiana University found that 63% of men over 50 reported masturbating in the past year, including a significant number of men in their 80s. So this is not a young man's activity. It's a human activity. And the research actually suggests it can be good for you. A large prospective study from Harvard, published in European Urology, followed nearly 32,000 men over 18 years and found that men who ejaculated 21 or more times per month had a 31% lower risk of prostate cancer compared to men who ejaculated only 4 to 7 times per month. Now, that's a correlation, not a definitive cause and effect, and the researchers are careful to point that out. But the trend held up even after adjusting for lifestyle factors and PSA screening frequency. Professor Lorelei Mucci from the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health put it simply. Ejaculation has many benefits and few risks if done safely. So the question isn't whether you should be doing this. The question is whether you're doing it in a way that actually helps your body or in a way that quietly harms it. And that's where these 3 mistakes come in. The first mistake is rushing through it like it's a chore. This is incredibly common in men over 60, and I understand why. There might be less privacy. There might be guilt left over from decades of cultural messaging. There might just be a feeling that this should be quick and quiet and over with. But when you rush, your body pays for it. When you're in a hurry, your nervous system stays in what's called sympathetic activation. That's your fight or flight response. Your blood vessels constrict. Your heart rate spikes in a way that's more like stress than pleasure. You might hold your breath without realizing it. And instead of getting that wave of relaxing, nourishing blood flow to the pelvic region, your body stays clenched. Think about it this way. If someone told you to enjoy a meal, but you had to eat it in 90 seconds standing over the sink, you wouldn't really taste anything, right? Your body works the same way with physical pleasure. It needs permission to relax before it can respond properly. Research published in Hormones and Metabolic Research has shown that regular sexual arousal helps maintain blood flow to erectile tissue. But the key word there is regular, gentle arousal, not a stressed sprint to the finish. So what does the fix look like? It's simpler than you might think. Give yourself 5 extra minutes. That's it. Turn your phone off. Take a few deep breaths before you start. Let your body actually arrive in the moment. You don't need candles or a whole ritual. You just need your nervous system to shift from alert mode into rest mode. Because when it does, your blood vessels open, your nerve endings wake up, your sensitivity improves, and the whole experience actually becomes what it's supposed to be. Beneficial. Not through speed, but through presence. Now, if you're someone who's noticed that things don't feel the way they used to, I actually made a whole video about how blood flow and arousal change as you age. Check that one out if you want to go deeper on this. The second mistake is gripping way too hard. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this is one of the most common issues men deal with, especially past 50 or 60. Here's what happens. As you get older, your nerve endings become slightly less responsive. That's not dysfunction. That's just normal biology. Skin gets thinner. Blood vessels become less elastic. Sensation naturally decreases by small degrees over the years. So what do a lot of men do? They compensate by gripping harder, moving faster, applying more pressure. And in the short term, it works. But over time, it creates a real problem. There's actually a term for this that's become well known in sexual health circles. It's called death grip syndrome. Now, it's not an official medical diagnosis, but sex therapists, urologists, and researchers have increasingly recognized it as a real pattern. The International Society for Sexual Medicine describes it as desensitization of the penis caused by frequent and rigorous masturbation with excessive pressure. Michael Perelman, a clinical professor at Cornell University and a well-known sex therapist, conducted a retrospective review of men with delayed ejaculation and found that over 37% of them used what he calls an idiosyncratic masturbatory style, meaning a very specific technique, often involving extreme grip or pressure that simply cannot be replicated by a partner's body. And a 2013 study comparing men with primary delayed ejaculation to controls found that the men with the issue had measurably higher penile sensory thresholds, meaning their nerve endings had genuinely become less responsive. That change was concentrated in the shaft, exactly where grip pressure would be applied. So what does this mean for you practically? Your penis is made of spongy tissue, delicate blood vessels, and sensitive nerve fibers. It thrives with gentle, steady stimulation, not force. When you apply the same tight grip over and over, year after year, your body adapts. And that adaptation goes in the wrong direction. You lose sensitivity. You may start needing more and more pressure just to feel anything. And intimacy with a partner can become genuinely difficult. The better approach? Loosen your grip. Seriously. Use a water-based, unscented lubricant. This reduces friction and actually protects the skin, which matters more as you age because older skin tears more easily. Focus less on getting to the finish line and more on how things actually feel along the way. Think of it like a massage for your circulatory system. And here's the good news. This is reversible. The University of California, Santa Barbara's Sex Info program, and multiple sex therapists recommend a simple retraining protocol. Take a short break. Even a week. Then gradually reintroduce stimulation with a lighter touch, a slower pace. Within a few weeks, most men report that sensation comes back. Your body can recalibrate. You just have to give it the chance. And that brings us to number 3, the one most men never see coming. The third mistake is ignoring the emotional side of what you're doing. And I know, for a lot of men, especially men who grew up in a generation that didn't talk about feelings, this might sound soft. But hear me out, because there's real science behind this. Many men over 60 carry decades of unspoken shame around this topic. Maybe you grew up in a household where masturbation was treated as sinful. Maybe you've internalized the idea that at your age, this is somehow inappropriate. Maybe you feel awkward about the changes in your body. Things take longer. Things look different. Things don't work the way they used to. And all of that emotional weight doesn't just stay in your head. It settles into your body. Stress hormones like cortisol constrict blood flow. Shame triggers the same nervous system response as fear. Your muscles tense, your breathing gets shallow, your body goes into protection mode instead of pleasure mode, and that directly interferes with arousal. A study of over 20,000 men found that many used masturbation specifically to alleviate anxiety and distress, highlighting the deep connection between emotional state and sexual behavior. But here's the thing. If you're bringing guilt and tension into the experience, you're essentially fighting your own body. You're pressing the accelerator and the brake at the same time. So what's the fix? Start with something that might sound simple, but is actually profound. Give yourself permission. You're not broken. You're not behind. You're not past your prime. You're in a different chapter. One that asks for more awareness, more patience, more self-compassion. If there's shame you've been carrying, it might be worth talking to someone about it. A therapist, a doctor, even a trusted friend. You don't have to figure this out in silence. The research from that European survey I mentioned earlier actually found that men who believed sexual activity is beneficial for older people were significantly more likely to maintain a healthy sexual life. In other words, just believing that this is okay makes a measurable difference in your well-being. Now let me pull all of this together with a quick practical guide. Keep things clean. Wash your hands beforehand. Use fresh towels if needed. Choose a space where you actually feel relaxed and undisturbed. Use a gentle, fragrance-free lubricant to protect your skin and support blood flow. And most importantly, listen to your body. If you feel pain, unusual tightness, swelling, or irritation, don't brush it off. Those could be signs of inflammation, circulatory strain, or a prostate-related issue that deserves a conversation with your doctor. But when done gently and mindfully, this can genuinely be a source of well-being. It supports blood flow. It supports prostate health. It can lower stress and improve sleep. And it keeps you connected to your own body in a way that matters at every age. Bottom line, the 3 biggest mistakes are rushing, gripping too hard, and ignoring your emotions. Fix those 3 things, and you're not just having a better experience. You're actively supporting your health. And if something doesn't feel right, talk to a healthcare provider. There's no shame in that. That's just smart self-care. If you want to learn more about how aging affects your sexual health and what you can actually do about it, make sure you check out my video on that topic. And remember, your health is worth paying attention to.